Welcome to MissouriNet.com. I'm Bill Pollack. A great weekend of basketball. The Show Me Showdown classes 4 and 5 basketball at Mizzou Arena. Joining us, as always, for our weekly chat is Jason West from MSHSAA, the communications director. Are you rested up?
We were able to kind of catch our breath on Sunday and get back to work this morning. So we're semi-rested. Still a little jet lag, but we're getting there.
You know, before we talk about the games, the hours that you guys put in. I mean, I came home and every night I was exhausted because you're covering 4, maybe 6 basketball games. I was exhausted. I thought, but I'm not really working all that hard. I'm sitting here, I'm typing up some stories. I get up, I shoot a little video. But what I realized is that behind that student section, those kids, I don't know how they keep going, but they yell and they scream and they trash talk, and the stuff they come up with is funny. I mean, it's not mean. It's funny stuff they come up with, much more creative than when I was a punk in high school. But I was mentally exhausted listening to them. I turned the car off and the radio off in the car. It's like I can't take any more sound. It was loud.
The student sections are getting a lot more creative, and that's one thing that we've seen nationally as well. We'll have our national meetings, and there's some associations that have started having contests for student sections that produce videos and things like that, and play off that creativity. Some of the costumes that you see nowadays as well, and not just the face paint or the body paint. There's themes and everything like that. So it is one thing that they may have a couple of scripts that they go off of that start the game, but by the end of the game, they're coming up with some really good ones.
They are. I remember, and you talk about girls basketball. I mean, that's exploded. The fans, I mean, are crazy. I mean, I remember going to my high school. This is going back years, but it was me and 2 of my buddies, and we would go to our girls' games, and we'd go to these road games, and we'd sit up at the top of the bleachers and just yell and yell and yell. But it was 3 of us, and we'd have parents from the other team come up to us and go, "You guys are nothing but punks." But it's changed. I mean, high school basketball. I love the school spirit. So,
yeah, that's one thing that we really like to see at all of the events is not just the community getting behind the teams, but the schools themselves. And we had some great student sections this weekend.
And we had some great basketball games. The Class 4 boys final, Hillcrest is up by 21 with less than 2 minutes to go in the third quarter. Their senior, Brady Petrie, had 31 points, gets his 4th foul. He's got to come out of the game. And I was sitting with someone from St. Louis. I said, you know what? St. Charles, with that leading scorer out with Petrie on the bench now, this thing could get interesting. And it did. St. Charles comes all the way back from down 21 with basically 9.5 minutes to go in the game, and they come back and win 74-69. Unbelievable comeback.
Yeah, that's one that people are going to be talking about for a very long time. Like you said, Brady ended up with 34 points. He was able to get back in later in the fourth quarter and kind of calm Hillcrest down a little bit. And you thought, okay, maybe they've right the ship. They've gotten going in the right direction now. They've kind of stopped the bleeding. But St. Charles just kept plugging away, and then when they drew that 5th foul, you just saw a huge momentum swing towards the Pirates, and they were able to pull it off.
Casey Tison, one of the senior captains for St. Charles, scored 29 of his 35 points in the second half, and he had struggled. He was 2 of 10, I think, from 3-point range in the first half, and and then he got on fire. It was like he carried that team on his back.
Yeah, I think he got the message at halftime. Being 2 of 10 from 3-pointers in the first half, coach said, let's not try that anymore. So that you did see him driving and attacking the basket a lot more in the second half, and went to the free throw line 12 times that game, and I think that's really what helped settle St. Charles down as well and mount that comeback.
Then the Class 4 girls, we saw a three-peat, Incarnate Word, a 60-27 win over MICDS. Nafisha Collier, who's going to play. I had a chance to talk with her a couple times over the weekend, and we've got those exclusive interviews at MissouriNet.com, but she's going to play her college ball at UConn. She scored more points than MICDS. This girl is phenomenal.
She is. She's a great talent, and it's been a lot of fun watching her over the last 4 years. She started her career at Jefferson City, and then the family moved to St. Louis, and finished her career at Incarnate Word. She's going to finish with almost 2,300 points, or 2,300 career points, and looking for big things from her the rest of her career. For most of the game, actually, she was out rebounding MICDS up until the last few minutes of the game, and then had 30 points and 19 rebounds to go with that. So just a phenomenal talent, and hopefully it's going to be a lot of fun to watch in college.
Now, I was looking at the record book because when you came by and over at Media Row, you dropped off the stats. I looked at their first half stats. They were shooting 72%. And I thought, boy, what's the state record? And I think it was somewhere around 64%, and that was like in a third place game in like 86.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I looked at I wonder what it is for the finals. And same year, 1986, I think it was New Bloomfield. They were like 63 in a finals game. And they were right around that. I can't remember exactly what they finished for the game, but there was a girl that shot a layup with like 20-something seconds left, and she shot a crazy one and bounced off. I thought, I don't even know if they realized they might have had a record.
Yeah, they ended up at 63.2 for the game.
Yeah, and I think like in a finals game, it's like 64 point something. So I think that shot actually might have cost them.
She's still running bleachers this morning.
Then the Class 5 boys, we had a chance to see Mizzou's future. Kim Anderson was there. He was watching Kevin Purrier in Blue Spring South. Now, I heard in the post-game press conference, is this their first state title in anything or just in basketball?
Just in basketball.
Okay, all right. Yeah, well, still, I mean, an amazing feat, no doubt. And you talk about a fan section, Blue Spring South, those people showed up, and the student section was amazing.
Yeah, they were great for the semifinal game, and thought, okay, well, they came down because they got to get out of school for half a day, but there were even more of them on Saturday for the championship game, and those are the type of things that are really neat to watch. It's one thing when the kids get to get out of school and have a reason to be there, but when they actually sacrifice some of their own time to be there to support their fellow classmates, that's kind of a heartwarming experience.
71-57 win over Park Hill South, and it really was more than Purrier, because he ended up fouling out late in the game, and they ended up holding off. But a lot of kids stepped up in that game.
There were. They played a lot, and there were some that got in there late to be able to get in and see some action. But they got some production out of a lot of people, and not just scoring-wise, but also rebounding and doing the little things to kind of keep Park Hill South at bay. When the Panthers needed to try to mount a comeback and make some shots in that fourth quarter, they were draining some NBA three-pointers there and just across half court, shooting it up to get the ball in the air, and actually made quite a few of them, and made you think that they might be able to pull something off here, but Blue Spring South was able to hold on and get the victory.
And then the final game of the night, a four-peat for the Rockbridge girls, an amazing season, an amazing run for Sophie Cunningham, Sierra Porter. Those two girls will play at Mizzou, so they had a chance to kind of play on their home court. They ended up taking care of Liberty 49-35. Listen, anytime you can win 4 in a row in anything, it's an amazing feat. What those girls were able to do with a relatively young support staff around them, Rockbridge has been one of the better stories the last few years.
They've been very consistent. They play a very tough schedule, kind of a national schedule, which you normally don't see for a public school like that, to be able to travel and to the different tournaments that they do compete at and see different competition. But you can't count them out. They're very consistent. They may lose 2 or 3 here and there, but Coach Nagel's able to get them going in the right direction when they need to, and at the end of the year, they're always there, and are always the tough out when you face them in the tournament.
And they actually lost to Liberty earlier in the year, so a shot at redemption. But I think the game of the entire weekend was that semifinal game, Liberty and Parkway North. Final 30 seconds to go. Let me just play this video because I think the whole town of Liberty has retweeted this. Got this. I thought, you know what, we might be onto something big here. Liberty was down 54-52, and Morgan Fleming gets fouled with 3.8 seconds left. And I want to play this. I'm going to try. Hopefully the volume will pick up because I want you to hear just the crowd reaction and how many fans were there and how loud they get. So just check this out. So she makes the first one. It's 54-53. Fleming was having a big night. And you think, all right, you make this, 3.8 seconds left, you're probably going to overtime. And she misses. Kiara Franklin ends up getting the rebound. And I'm going to shut this off so we don't get any more there. Yeah, she ends up getting the rebound, putting it back as time expires. And Liberty goes on and wins the basketball game by points, and they're in the finals. Great finish.
Yeah, that happened right in front of the Liberty student section, who had probably about 100 kids there themselves for the last game of the night. Was just a great atmosphere between those two teams, and to have that happen right in front of their student section was a lot of fun. And then having the dog pile right there, looking at that camera work, I think you've got a career ahead of you if you need a backup.
Yeah, look, I got lucky on that one. I just thought, I'm going to walk over on this end of the. There were times though I'd walk on one side that this might be a good finish, and then something would happen, and I was running around back the other side. It was. So I got a little bit of a workout in, but great, just great basketball, whether they were big wins for programs or big comebacks or nail biters at the end. I mean, we got a little bit of everything this weekend, and another successful week after 2 weeks in a row of hosting the Show Me Showdown. You guys did a great job.
Well, thanks a lot.
Now, you guys are more than just sports. You get a little bit of a break, but then you've got some more finals coming up. You guys are activities, and so you've got speech, debate, and theater, music, the Scholar Bowl coming up. Jason, maybe you can talk a little bit about that because you've got some exciting things coming up.
Sure, and actually, before we even get into the activities portion of the year, here in a couple of weeks, one of our big events that we're involved with, we have our April board meeting coming up where we have some things on the docket like selecting a venue for the soccer championships for the next cycle and things like that. But we also have the annual MIAAA conference, which is the state association for the athletic directors across the state, and they have their annual conference down at Tantera here in a couple of weeks, and we are down there, and that's one of the venues that we get a lot of feedback and are able to interact with athletic directors from across the state. Not just when they make it to a championship, but we have meetings and discussions with these guys and ladies for 3 days straight about various topics. So we get a lot of feedback from that as well, in addition to all the other meetings that we have. And then we wrap that up, and at the end of the month, we'll start with our speech and debate championships and theater championships, which will be in a new venue this year. It's moving to Springfield and be at Missouri State University after being on the Mizzou campus for many years, basically since the inception of that tournament. So we're looking forward to being at a new venue there. And then we finish the month and begin May with our music festival, which is actually our largest event. It has the most participants. We'll have about 10,000 students on the Mizzou campus over 3 days for that festival, and trying to earn the ones and twos. Everybody wants a one, obviously. And then the last activity we'll have is the Scholar Bowl Championships, which are here at Mizzou as well.
So the speech, debate, and theater down at Missouri State, April 24th to the 25th. April 30th through May 2nd is for music. 10,000 kids. That's amazing. That's crazy. It's got to be your biggest activity, right?
It is, and it's really a year long in the making. Debney Davis is the administrator that oversees the music activities, and you think, well, it's just 3 days in April, but no, it's 365 days that she's planning and scheduling rooms and getting judges, and then coming down. And I'm not sure if you know this, but it's also prom season.
Yeah.
We hear that starting probably next week. We'll start hearing that again as well.
Throw that in there, and then the Scholar Bowl May 8th and 9th. So yeah, you guys are still busy. We'll catch up, and we'll talk more about those meetings that you have coming up and some of the things that are on the docket, and we'll catch up next Monday.
Sounds great.
All right, Jason West. Thank you very much, Misha, the Show Me Bowl Showdown. Great stuff. MissouriNet.com, and, of course, Misha's website, too, to get all of your basketball information and recaps and great stuff, too, if you happen to miss it. So, Jason, thanks for your time. We'll talk to you soon.
No problem. Thank you, Bill.